Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Golf News RI, the podcast. I'm Joe Calabro. This is episode 9. You can watch all the previous episodes on our website, golfnewsri.com. We've had Lee Kang, we've had Charlie Blanchard, we've had Larry LaFauci, among others. Last week's episode was a news and notes episode on my part. And today we're excited to have Steve Heath on from FabNewport and the newly launching First Tee Rhode Island chapter in the Youth Learning and STEM Center. Steve, thanks so much for taking some time. So super excited to chat with you.
Pleasure to be here, Joe. Thanks for the opportunity.
So First Tee Rhode Island chapter and Youth Learning and STEM Center officially launched on March 1st, 2024. So Friday, tomorrow, for those of you, depending on when you're watching this, at
Yeah.
the A1 Roofing and Construction Company in Middletown. They're under the umbrella of FabNewport, which a lot of people may have heard about. So, Steve, I just basic question. Just talk about the process of this coming about. Obviously, a lot of people are familiar with First Tee. First Tee chapters. There's 150 of them or so across the country. But just how did this kind of all come about over the last however many months or weeks it's been?
Yeah. So I'm a lifelong educator, and most of my career has been involved in hands-on learning. I've worked in schools in Boston and Chicago and Rhode Island. As an extension of that, I started FabNewport in 2013. And we started as basically a STEM center teaching kids how to code, design, run 3D printers, small scale manufacturing, sewing, all kinds of things here in the north end of Newport. That was an extension of my work at the Met School. And then I realized a lot of kids in the summertime didn't have a lot to do in the north end of Newport. They hadn't been to the beach, they hadn't played golf, they hadn't been sailing, they hadn't been surfing, doing all these things many of us Rhode Islanders love to do. So in 2016, 10 of us rode around on bicycles all summer. We had a great time. We really got to know each other. And then the next summer, 20 kids were riding around on bicycles. And we got a grant to do that for 3 years. And our theory was if we could stay connected to these middle school kids for 3 years, that might be some transformative relationships. So as we kept doing these things, kids want to say, I want to try this, I want to try that. So golf became an extension of that. And then we expanded the program to 100 kids in the summer. We also run a year-round slate of programming, in-school program with Newport Public Schools, with the Met School, All Saints Academy. We run out-of-school time programming during the school year. But what happened, Orlando Peace was working in the building at another organization, and he wanted to start a golf program, and he had First Tee in his mind because he loves golf. We played golf together. We were friends. And I said to Orlando, we've got all these other experiences we're doing. Why don't you come over and join our team? So we started with Fab Golf. We worked for a couple of years to get this chapter, which was recently awarded, primarily with Orlando's vision and the organizational structure of FabNewport supporting him. And here we are, and ready to go with a couple of bays and launch monitors and simulators over at A1 Roofing and Construction. And back in 2021, when I had just hired Orlando, it's 2 weeks in, he goes, Steve, what do we need? He goes, we need a van. We got to figure out a way to get the kids to Green Valley Country Club. So Orlando went out and asked Sean Napolitano, the owner of A1 Roofing and Construction, for a van. And 2 weeks later, we had a van. And next thing we knew, we were rolling. Now, Sean and A1 Roofing and Construction has a new headquarters out on West Main Road and a former Hyundai dealer. In the back of his space, he's got enough room that he said, you know what? You guys can have this space. You can use it for your indoor programming. So that's how we got our new headquarters, through to the generosity of Sean and his team at A1.
So what kind of, I know there's obviously the Learning Center and STEM Center, obviously the golf simulators are a big thing in golf and in the state. We've done a couple stories on that. But what kind of programming can people expect from First Tee Rhode Island? What are some of the plans for it? I know Fab Golf had a New England Golf Tour, but what are some of the early, I know it's early, but what are some of the plans for First Tee Rhode Island programming, if you will?
So if you were to go to our website tomorrow, you would be able to register your child for one of three programs. The way First Tee is organized, it's 7 to 9-year-olds, 10 to 13-year-olds, and 14 to 18-year-olds. So right now, we're going to offer one 7 to 9-year-old program, two of the other, two 10 to 14, and two 8 or you get 7 to 9, 10 to 13-year-old programs, and they're co-ed programming. These first sessions will be 4 weeks. They'll be all indoors. And then as the weather gets nicer, we'll take the kids out to Green Valley. And then if kids are interested in competitive golf, they can join our junior league, which we run in partnership with the PGA. They do that. That's a fun thing. It's alternate shot. It's stress-free, but it's a nice introduction, and we compete against other clubs. We compete against Buttonhole, and it's just a fun way to just get kids introduced to friendly competition. So we're going to do some family outings. We should have 4 or 5 of those. The New England tour is designed for adults who want to, join like-minded folks. We'll have about 6 outings this summer at varied courses, anywhere from, about 60 miles, some Rhode Island, some Massachusetts, some Connecticut. And then we'll have our annual fundraiser golf outing at Wanamatanami Country Club, first Monday in August. I think it's August 5th this year, and that's a lot of fun too. So that's an opportunity for people to come out and support the program.
That's awesome. And Wanamatanami is obviously a really, really nice place for anything really, but especially for golf.
So I know your passion for golf. I was looking on one of your reels and you were talking about like the best 18th hole. So here's a little known fact about Wanamatanami that I learned last year. So for those who are golf course architects aficionados, it is a Seth Rayner design. So, Seth Rayner has certainly enjoyed a renaissance for his work. And I believe, the Back Nine Press has published a beautiful new coffee table book of some of his work. But it's one of only 5 courses in America where you can see like the ocean or, the bay from every hole, So there you go.
Well, that's a good trivia question. I might post that, and maybe somebody can win like a GolfNewsRI t-shirt or something.
And it's not quite fair to say it's the ocean, but it's like the salt water, it's the bay,
It's close enough. It's Rhode Island. The ocean is somewhere.
We'll call it the ocean, right?
For you, so funny, I was doing research for this interview over the last couple of hours or so, and I was under the Fab Golf tab in the New England Golf Tour, and it said low overall gross winner Steve Heath. So you're obviously a player yourself. When did golf start for you? When did you get the golf bug, as they say? When did all this kind of...
So I grew up in a Connecticut suburb, and a mile down the street was this beautiful country club that we didn't belong to. And I just used to look at it like, oh my God, it was like kind of looking at, like I grew up rooting for, the Mets. And, I remember the first time going to Shea Stadium and under the lights, and you look at a beautifully groomed baseball field and you think like, oh my gosh, that is just such a perfect thing. Because when we were kids, we're cutting the football fields and the baseball fields with a lawnmower. And then, so my dad was a sports maniac. And so we put a 9-hole course in our backyard with flower pots and tomato sticks. And we called the driveway water. And so I would hack around there with like a 9-iron. I didn't even know what a pitching wedge was. And then we would come to Jamestown for a month or two in the summertime. And back then, the 9-hole course there was a dusty old course where you would find a tuft of grass and tee it up. And so I would go around there 3 or 4 times, like every now and then by myself. And then when I went to college, for $40, you could join the course. So that's when I went deep and just got hooked. And then over the years, when we lived in Chicago for 6 years, I would play in some city amateur tournaments there. And then when I was in Rhode Island, I played in some of the state championships and played out of Fenner Hill, played out of Triggs. And this year I'll play out of North Kingstown, played out of Jamestown. So I'm a muni baller. My favorite course is a Donald Ross municipal course. Take me to Shanticosset and Groton, Triggs in Providence or George Wright in Boston, and I'm a happy guy.
That's awesome. That's an amazing story playing in the backyard. I used to do something similar, not with pots, but I used to hit the ball. We used to do plastic balls, but I used to hit them try to hit them over the roof
There you
onto
go.
into like the backyard somewhere, over
Yeah.
the roof of the garage, not like the roof of the house, but over the roof of the garage into like the backyard somewhere. Which they were plastic balls. They only went so far, but it was fun anyway. It was fun to play.
I'm sure you hit a few real balls over that garage, and mom and dad were saying, "What's going on out there?" Yeah, yeah, right.
Um, so talking with Steve Heath of the newly launched First Tee Rhode Island chapter and the Youth Learning and STEM Center. The grand opening is Friday, March 1st at the A1 Roofing and Construction Company, starting at 4 p.m. With
3:30 start,
3:30
4 p.m. ribbon
registration,
cutting.
3:30 registration, 4 p.m. ribbon cutting. As my phone is going off. So check that out. How important is obviously is very important, but we've seen a rise in junior golf and youth golf pretty much across the country, especially in Rhode Island. How crucial is First Tee going having a First Tee chapter here to go along with Fab Golf and Fab Newport, going to be?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Joe. And you know, like one of the questions people have asked is, well, what about Buttonhole? Don Wright, who runs Buttonhole, he'll be tomorrow. He's coming down to join us. We see us as strategic partners. Don and the group at Buttonhole have been generous to us as they possibly could be. And we see the more junior golf there is, the more access there's going to be, right? So if we can get kids connected to golf, they learn, first of all, a sport that can be played for a lifetime, right? And then, as you well know, as a golfer, you learn a lot about yourself on the golf course because it is some people say it's the most challenging sport there is, but it's certainly one of the most challenging sports. So you learn a lot about yourself, but I think maybe one of the most important outcomes for our kids is to increase social capital. Like FabNewport is focused on lifting the lives of under-resourced kids. So if we can get, like a lot of our kids, until they came to, Fab Golf, which is now First Tee Rhode Island, they had never even been to a golf course. They didn't even know Green Valley existed on Union Avenue. So we're opening up new horizons to learn about a game, to learn about oneself, to build social capital. And finally, golf in America is about an $86 billion industry. There's 6 courses on Aquidneck Island. So there are tremendous career opportunities with golf, whether it's in the hospitality business, whether it's as a teaching professional, running, restaurant, greenskeeper, agronomy, there's all kinds of ways. So I think, Rhode Island also wants to grow its hospitality and tourism industry. I think there's ways that kids can get connected and grow their lives in many ways, but I think we need more places for kids to play. It's still hard to get on a course. It's hard to get to a course.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me in 3 years and we'll see what kind of impact we're having on, youth and golf, and especially kids who traditionally do not have access to golf and the courses and the kinds of people that you can meet on a golf course.
And lastly, then I'll let you go. I'm sure you have better things to do as you guys get ready for a big day tomorrow. But you guys are obviously Fab Newport, Fab Golf. How excited are you guys for the Senior Open coming here to bring some attention to golf in Rhode Island, to bring some attention obviously to Newport, but just to golf in general? I mean, that's going to be. I mean, I'm pumped for it. So you guys have to be pretty ecstatic for it as well.
Yeah, we'll have the kids out there. Some of them are going to be standard bearers. And I think when the kids see professional golfers, it'll change the way they think about the game. I can still remember the first pro tournament I went to. I think it was, well, I know it was the US Open at Shinnecock, and I think it was 1986. And basically, there was a gale blowing and it was pouring rain. And I can remember Greg Norman standing there and these horrific weather conditions and swinging so fluidly and so easy, and thinking like, my God, these guys are effortless. And so for the kids to see how smooth pro golfers are, I think they'll learn a lot and just be excited about all the activity that goes on at that historic venue. And we have plenty of supporters who are Newport Country Club members, and it'll just be a great opportunity for the golf community to rally around a tremendous event with great athletes, great human beings that, what was the site in 1895 of the first U.S. Open. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's first U.S. Open. Tiger Woods played there. Obviously, any number of Annika Sorenstam won the U.S. Women's Open there, and any number of other things obviously happened as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting summer for Rhode Island. Big year, big season of golf in the state. So we're obviously pumped for it. You guys are getting things started with launching First Tee Rhode Island and the Youth Learning and STEM Center again on Friday, March 1st. Registration is at 3:30. The event starts at 4 p.m. There'll be some golf simulator demonstrations. You can check all your ball speed and see how far you're hit,
Yeah.
how far you're
Get
hitting
a
it.
get a hat if you want to come
Get a,
down. We'll have a hat
get
or
a
a golf
hat,
towel
get
for you.
some merch. There you go.
Yeah.
Swing
Yeah.
some merch. So, Steve, thank you so much. We'll have this up on our website for people. We'll have links for people to click through and learn more or donate or whatever people want to do. But thank you so much for taking some time, and hopefully we'll be in touch throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, maybe we can get around. And Joe, have a great day. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Steve Heath. This has been Golf News Right, the podcast. Hope everyone has a great rest of the week, great weekend, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.